To ground balance, hold the track button and pump the search coil a few times over the ground you're going to be searching, and it'll ground balance automatically. From that point forward, it will track to changes in the ground, but getting that initial balance will get you up to high performance immediately. There are 6 starting programs in the MX7. If you press Options and you use your arrow up and down key, you can go to the programs and then use the plus and minus button to select a program. There's high trash, prospecting, beach, all metal, coin and jewelry, and then back to relic. I'm going to go with the beach program today. Now it will time out automatically, or you can press Options again if you want to return to the search screen. Each of your options are available once you press Options just by going through with the up and down button and making your adjustment with the plus and minus button. This model also has the reject volume feature that is popular with the MX Sport. This allows you to reduce the volume of the targets you've selected to be rejected, which will give them less emphasis, and the good targets will be more apparent for you because they're going to be a much higher volume. Modulation, that'll give you a difference in tone depending on how deep the target is. Reject volume, I'd mentioned, you can reduce the volume of the targets you've selected for rejection, and that makes the good target stand out a little more for you. Plus it tells you where the trash is, so you can kind of get around in between it and around it. You can change the tone ID feature. Has a number of different tone ID features if you like to give different tones to different target categories. You can adjust the discrimination. You go up and down with your plus and minus, and then use your pinpoint or enter button to turn the targets for rejection or exception. Threshold is just that background hum that you like to hear. You want that as soft and quiet as you can and still hear it, and that'll give you your maximum detection depth. Volume, of course, is just how loud it's going to be. You'll probably have a little less volume when you're using headphones as opposed to when you're not using headphones. Reset. The MX7 has an automatic memory, so as you make adjustments, it stays there. Everything stays at those settings. So if you want to return to the factory default programs, you can do a reset, and that'll return everything to factory settings. It's kind of a start over point. You can change it from inches to your metric measurements for your depth reading. You've got your backlight at different intensities. And you've got frequency. If you want to get around one of these competition hunts where you got a lot of metal detectors around you, you can shift your frequencies and get away from interference or chatter from other metal detectors. And then back to programs, where you can select a main program for a major type of hunting, such as beach or relic or prospecting. When you select one of these all-metal programs, some different options will come up on the screen for you. So then when you go through options in all-metal, you have a few things there that you wouldn't have in the discriminating modes. One of the primary ones we get a lot of questions on is the SAT feature. So you're in all-metal and you've got a slight threshold going on, and as you walk along, you're hearing a lot of changes in that threshold that's distracting. Now that can just be minor differences in the ground. It can be little pebbles that have a little more iron in them than the surrounding ground. Often you don't want to re-ground balance every couple steps. So what you would do is you would give it a little bit faster SAT, that self-adjusting threshold. So you have the threshold running, and what SAT does is it automatically maintains that threshold even if the ground changes, even if you get all sorts of other changes in the circuit, the SAT will keep that threshold running smooth. You need to keep the loop in motion to make that work in an all-metal mode with SAT, but it's very, very slow. You don't need hardly any motion to make it work, and it's just more of a stabilizing feature, the SAT is, for all-metal. Traditionally, all-metal modes are not as stable as a discrimination mode. SAT adds that stabilizing feature to the all-metal modes. Two other features that are exclusive for the all-metal modes would be your iron grunt, which means that the detector's gonna, if it recognizes a large piece of iron or iron that's really strong, it'll give you a distinctive grunting sound. So you know immediately that's something that you're not interested in. VCO. Now VCO is voltage controlled oscillator, so as you approach a target, the pitch of the beep increases until you hit the maximum target signal, and then it declines. So like a lot of White's models, the MX7 has a beach mode, and in the beach mode, the ground tracking automatically changes to a salt compensate. Salt is much higher than normal minerals. It's conductive, so it comes way up into the conductive range, and the salt tracking allows that ground balance to track up that high into the conductive range. So you could pick the beach mode and hunt the beach, but what if I'm in the relic mode and I come across some salt type ground? You can add the salt feature to any mode just by going to the salt track and turning it on. One example is the farm fields where they heavily fertilize them with silver nitrates, and when that gets wet, it mimics what salt does. It's conductive like salt is. So when you're hunting a farm field, if you're finding problems with rejecting the ground, try turning on that salt tracking, and that's probably going to sort it out for you. I'm going to press options to go back to the regular search mode. You have sensitivity on your plus and minus in your search screen. Plus is going to go deeper, going to have higher sensitivity, but if the ground is too mineralized or if you're around a lot of external interference, you'll need to turn that down a little bit to get good performance. And then the up and down arrows are going to do your threshold, your slight background hum. And that's in the regular search mode. You can turn your threshold up and down with the arrows, your sensitivity up and down with the plus and minus. And for all the other options, then you would go to the options mode and go through it with the arrows and find an option that you're interested in. Again, at any point, if you want to ground balance it, you can just hold the track button and pump the coil and do a ground balance. The MX7 takes all of the MX Sport search coils. You can go up to 13 inches. For the really bigger loops, go deeper. You can go to 13 inches, or you can go smaller. If you're in a high trash area, hunting some parking strips, you can go to the smaller coils and you'll do a lot better in the high trash.